All right. I guess we're live. Hopefully this is recording. Hold on one second. 1 second. Hello. What's up? Welcome. All right, cool. So just so you guys know, I'm on YouTube and I'm also on Instagram. So I got like two different screens to look at. So bear with me. This is all new to me. I run a barbershop. I'm not used to this streamer shit. Well, welcome. Today's Monday, December 23rd. And I'm here for you guys right now. So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be taking questions, anything barber related, barbershop owner related. Type it in the chat. I'll answer it. I will try to give you the best answer that I can. Typically, it's hard to answer barbers' questions without having a lot of context. So try to give some context if you have a question for me, like where you are, what type of shop you're in, etc. The better the question is, the better I'm going to be able to answer it. And by the way, if you guys like doing this stuff, Q&A, being able to talk with me for free, I have a free group. Instagram people, I'm also on YouTube, so I'm going to be sharing my screen. But I'll show you if you're watching this on YouTube. I have a free group called the Barber Mastermind, and it's 100% free. I can't even charge you to be in it, even if I wanted to. The way I set it up. Instagram people, I'll show you what I'm looking at. See that? I don't know if you can see that. That's my screen. It's called the Barber Mastermind. 100% free, free forever. It's just for barbers, people that are serious about making more money. If you're happy with what you're making, you could still join the group and you can help the future generation of barbers that want to learn and grow and make more. So it's called Barber Mastermind because, yeah, so we can all learn together, right? This is kind of stuff I wish I had when I was getting started. And I thought we could start off today by talking about this post that I made a few days ago. Set your vision for 2025. So you guys that are in Instagram and YouTube, let me know. What's your goal? What's your goal for 2025? Any questions? Minifest, Barber James, Drew DM Cuts Drew. What are your guys' goals? Let me know. I can let you know my goals while you guys are typing. So we got 2 locations right now for my shop. This is my shop, House of Shaves Barbershop. My goal is to basically just keep doing what we've been doing, right? Because as I know this is something that I've had to kind of hold back on my own as an urge, but I like changing stuff. See, most people don't like change. I'm actually the opposite. I love changing stuff. And if you talk to anybody on my team, they can help kind of back that up. But sometimes, as a barbershop owner and as a barber, you don't have to change stuff. Sometimes you just need to keep doing what you've been doing. And if you're not getting the results, it could be that you just haven't been doing it long enough. That's really it. Or, maybe you're in the wrong place to do that, which we can talk about that. But assuming you're in the right shop, assuming you're in the right location, sometimes you just need to keep doing what you've been doing. You just haven't been doing it long enough. See, people are listening to influencers on Instagram, social media, TikTok, whatever. And a lot of people, I get it because it's easy to sell. A lot of people are trying to sell this idea that you can get rich in 6 months. It's kind of like, like back in the day, those cheesy real estate commercials where people are like, let me show you how, for $1,000, I'll show you how I'm making money from my couch passively with no work. Right? I think that's kind of like the state of the barber industry at the moment, right? Like, people are selling this idea that you can charge $100, $200 a haircut and only do 2 haircuts a day, and then you're done for the day, and then you can go home and enjoy with your family. And I get it. It's a great idea. It's easy to sell because basically you're selling this idea, this tried and true scam method of you can make all this money and not do a lot of work. And I'm not saying it's not possible. There's definitely people out there that are charging $100, $200 or more a haircut. What's up, Carlito's Way? Uh, that yeah, they can pull it off. But I think that the problem with social media influencers nowadays is that they're just showing you the end result of the work that they did. So I was talking to my paid group earlier, the barbershop owner mastermind, where it's just for barbershop owners and people that want to open up barbershops. And I was talking a lot about this because it's about the compound effect of work. And when you're seeing people in our industry that are at the top, like making six, seven, or more figures a year, you're seeing the end result of the work, right? You're seeing the work that they put in for 10, 15, 20 years or more. And I think if you talk to any of them, I think they would all agree with me when I say this, that it takes time to get there. It takes time. So in the beginning of, if you're just starting out your barber journey, or if you just open up a shop, you're going to have to realize that you're probably not going to get to where you think you should be as fast as you think you should get there. It's going to take some time, and that's okay. As long as you are okay with that, then keep going, right? So I don't I think you guys should really be pay attention. What's up, Tiffany? I think you guys should pay attention to, or be careful for who you take advice from on social media, because and a lot of times you are seeing the end result of years and years and years of work. And I think that one of the good things about buying education and everything is that you can get there faster. You can get there faster, and you will probably get there faster if you do the same things that they did to get there. But you're not going to get what they have without doing what they did. Period. Right? Nobody's just going to come to your house or your shop and just hand you $100 for nothing. Like, you got to do something to get the clients in the door. You got to do something to get your name out there, right? And then when they get there, you got to do the haircut. So be careful who you take advice from on social media, right? Because most people are just going to tell you what worked for them. What worked for them might not work for you. And I think that you should also kind of filter the advice that you get based on, well, what did that person accomplish? Like, what is their goal? Because if somebody is operating a suite, right? Somebody's operating a suite or doing they're on their own working for somebody else, I wouldn't listen to that person, right? Because I'm trying to build a multi-location barbershop, so their advice is not relevant to me. I'm going to take advice from people that have done what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to listen to some guy who's by himself in a suite with no coworkers. I'm going to listen to the person that's built an empire already, because that's what I'm trying to do. So be careful when you're taking advice, when you're paying for coaching, consulting, which, if you're somebody that's willing to pay for coaching and consulting, I think you're ahead of 99% of barbers anyways, because most people would rather spend $300 on a clipper than $20 on a book that's going to pay them way more. So don't be one of those people. Be somebody that's willing to pay for a little bit of education, because it's really the only way, if you think about it, paying for education is the only way that you can buy time. That's it, right? Because you're either going to pay with time or money, but you're going to pay either way. Have fun, Tiffany. Go cut some hair. uh, so if you guys are just joining, by the way, I'm live on both YouTube and Instagram. We're doing a Q&A. So if you have a question for me that's barber related or barbershop owner related, type it in the chat and I will answer. But I'm looking at two different platforms now. So if your question gets buried, sorry, ask it again. And I'm going to be with you guys for the next 20 minutes. I'm just kind of going on my little rant here. But what was I talking about? Just be careful who you take advice from, right? But I think you should be getting advice. There's no lack of information now, which I think is great. I actually love the state of our industry right now. There are so many people out there that are offering advice, that are offering coaches, consulting, courses. And I think that, but the next time you have the urge to buy a set of clippers, instead or buy something you don't need for your barbershop, like a pool table or something, go get a course instead, right? Or go read a book, go to a class, go to hair show, go to barber battle, do something that is going to put this is the asset that you want to build right here, because your clippers, don't matter how much you love them, in a year you're going to want new ones, right? Just like a car, right? When you buy a car, like it's great for the first year or two, whatever, right? And then in a few years it's going to look old no matter what you did to it. So it's the same thing with tools and clippers and stuff for the barbershop, right? Invest in skills, invest in coaching. It's the only way you can buy time. You're going to pay either way. You're going to pay with time or money. And when somebody has taken the time to condense their lessons and all their skills into a course or a book or whatever, I mean, if I could go back in time and just give myself one piece of advice, it would be to invest in coaching earlier, because that's why I'm so big on education now, is because coaching, courses, books literally saved my business. I don't think I would be here right now talking to you guys if I hadn't started investing in coaches and courses, consulting, reading books, going to conferences, because I didn't know what I was doing. And I think that's probably the biggest downside of our industry right now. I think that virtually every other industry has kind of figured out the fact that you have to kind of know your numbers, you have to track things, you have to know what's your profitability, what's your rebooking rate, what's your client retention, what's your product sales looking like, how's your barber retention, are you retaining barbers, what's your marketing like, what is your cost of acquisition, you know it, what is your lifetime value for clients. If you don't know these things, then you're playing a dangerous game, right? And maybe you can get lucky, like I got lucky for like 5 years. I didn't know what I was doing for like 5 solid years. And actually the thing that forced me to start learning the things that I didn't even know that I should know was when we opened our second location. 'Cause then I was like, "Holy shit, this is way more expensive than I thought." And the money started draining from the bank account, because I think it's pretty easy to build one location. I think anybody with even a decent set of skill can open one barbershop and be fine. But the second you try to grow from 1 to 2 and beyond, now you need to start learning way more business skills, because even with just 2 locations, me as a barber, as good as I might be, I can't make enough money for the shop to support 2 different locations by myself. That requires a team, right? So you wanna be able to you want to learn as much as you can before it's too late, because I think that a lot of barbershop owners make the mistake that I made, which is you don't even know the trouble you're in. Like you don't even know. Like there's and it puts it to the test the second you try to grow, right? Because that's what put my business to the test. When we went to open our second location, I was like, oh, we're not as profitable as I thought. Because that's probably the hardest jump that you'll ever make as a barbershop owner, is when you go from one location to two, because that first location not only has to support itself, but it also has to support the second one. So it has to be making enough profit to not just pay its own bills, but also all the bills of the second one. And if you're anything like me, or I didn't know what I was doing, you realize like, oh crap, the first one is not as profitable as I thought. So thankfully we had some money in the bank, and we were able to absorb the losses for like a few years before the second location got to the point where it was profitable. So that's another thing. Like don't go open a second location unless you have money. Don't open a barbershop, period, unless you have money in the bank. And but I mean, like you can afford to lose money for like 6, 12, 18, 2 years. Can you afford to lose money for 2 years? If not, may not want to open a barbershop. Not yet. All right. Or you can get a loan. I don't whatever it takes. But like the biggest mistake I see a lot of barbershop owners make is that they open a barbershop and they spend all their money on the build out and they make it look beautiful, but then they don't have enough money to pay the bills, right? Because you're assuming that you're just going to be profitable from day one, and unless you've done it before, very unlikely, very unlikely. Super expensive, and the rent is probably the least expensive part of operating a barbershop, depending on how you do it. Right. So my shop, the barbers are paid hourly or commission basis. So the biggest expense is payroll, not rent. So I think it's funny talk. I had this realization talking to clients the other day because anytime I talk to anybody that hasn't run a business, and this is another kind of point to be careful who you take advice from because your mom and your dad or whatever might have great intentions, but if they've never ran a business before, I wouldn't follow their advice necessarily to the letter, right? Because whenever I talk to a client who's never ran a business before, and I tell them like our costs are so high, right? The first thing they usually go to is rent. I'm like, rent? Rent is like 7% of our revenue, where payroll probably is closer to 40%. But I had this thought the other day where the reason why most people's mind goes to rent when that's as far as like the biggest cost to reduce is because if you're an employee working for somebody else, that's probably your biggest expense, rent, right? But as a shop owner, as a barbershop owner, your biggest expense is probably payroll, depending on how you do it. If it's booth rent, I don't know. I've never done booth rent, but commission hourly, like all the big guys do it, huge expense. Marketing is a big expense. I agree. But if you are getting a return on marketing, then is it an expense? I don't know, right? Because some of our ads, let me see if I can pull up something. Some of our ads right now are our ROAS is two. So for every dollar we put in, we get $2 back. So is that expense? I don't know. If I said for every dollar you give me, I'm going to give you $2 back. How many dollars would you give me? Would you still consider an expense? I don't know. I wouldn't. I would be putting as much as I could in that thing. And that's what we do. So we spend like depends on the month and depends on the barbers or this it depends on the business. I'm never going to give you guys advice that I will say you can take this to the bank. Well, this is always true, right? Because a lot of the time it depends. Now I am working on like a list of like laws of barbering that I think are true in every scenario. Like for example, an empty chair makes no money. That's true in every shop. Whether you're booth rent, commission, hourly, an empty chair makes no money. But anyways, marketing can be a big expense if your costs are high, if you're not doing it right, right? And in the beginning, like if you don't have help, this is another reason why coaching and consultants and everything are so important because you wasted thousands. I mean, I wasted more money on ads than most of y'all will ever spend on ads. So, and it wasn't until I had somebody that showed me the right way until I started to actually make ads that actually made money. That's the thing is like your ads can either be an expense or it can be an investment. And another reason why ads can be tough is because in the as a barbershop, unless you're charging like $100 a haircut, chances are you're not going to make money the first time that client comes in. You're not going to get your money back, right? Because if it costs you $50 to get this client in the door from Facebook, uh, you, unless you're charging more than $50, you're probably going to take a loss that first visit. But if your retention is high and you're retaining these clients, then you make it back when they come back. So that's the game, right? And that's why you have to have money in the bank. And this is a long-term strategy because unless you can make the money back on the first visit, which is unlikely, if you're a barbershop and you're charging less than $100, you're probably going to make it back when that client comes back like 3 or 4 more times, right? And by the way, I heard this again the other day. It was a nice reminder, but if you, to have somebody become a long-term client, they need to come in 3 times. So I actually remember the first time I heard that, I thought, oh, that's cool. But I didn't do anything with that information. So I think I'm going to be designing a program going into next year to incentivize people to come in on that third visit. By the way, if you guys have a question, this is a Q&A, so feel free to type your questions in the chat. I got about 10 more minutes before I'm going to go. But anyways, so I'm thinking just something as simple as on your third visit, you get a free product or something. I don't like giving away services because services are expensive. There's labor, there's time, whatever, right? Products, I don't care. I'll give them away. Even though there's a cost associated with that, I don't. So try to figure out how to get your clients to come in 3 times. And that's also how you make your money back if you're spending money on ads, which my personal favorite way to get new clients is to spend money on ads. The challenge with that is that it takes a lot of skill and you can waste a lot of money on ads. I see ads every single day from barbers, maybe some people that are on this call that are your shop is in like Canada or something, right? And I'm in Florida. Like, why am I seeing your ad? Are you trying to get followers? Because otherwise, you're wasting a lot of money. So that's just one of the things that you have to be careful of when you run ads. Just make sure the targeting is right. Only the people that you want to see the ad should be seeing the ads, because otherwise you're just blowing a bunch of money and you're going to be like going on Instagram complaining that ads don't work. They do work. I wouldn't be spending almost 10 grand a month on ads if they didn't work. That would be a huge expense. We spend way more on ads than what our rent is. I think sometimes it's twice as much. We spend twice as much money on ads sometimes as what our rent is for the shop, for both locations combined, right? But that's how much I'm a big believer in ads. And the reason why I like ads is because, like I said in the beginning of this call, you can either spend time or you can spend money. So there is ways to get clients for free. You can just sit on Instagram for a few hours and just DM everybody that lives in your city. And if you send 100 DMs, which is free, it's probably really unlikely, unless you're terrible at it, that not at least one person won't respond and come in and get a haircut. So 1 out of every 100 people, I mean, and what did it take? Like, let's say 2 hours if you're really slow to send 100 DMs. So 2 hours of work to get one client. Are you going to care about the other 99 didn't respond if it gets you one client? Probably not, but it takes a lot of time. So that's why I love paid ads, because it doesn't involve time. You just spend money to get guaranteed reach, basically. That's another thing with social media. You're competing with everybody that's trying to post something. And rather than compete with the whole world, like, I'm just going to use the tools that are built in and just target this specific type of person. And I don't have to spend my time doing the DMs. Or I can just spend some money, right? But it takes resources, right? Avery wants to know, can you speak on potential pushback barbershops and salons interacting against AI to streamline? That sounds dangerously like you're trying to sell something, Avery. I don't know what are you talking about? Interacting AI to streamline operations? Can you give me some more context? But one thing I know with AI, one thing that I believe, right? Actually, this is something I was going to talk about earlier with my paid group. So I'm kind of glad this came up. I think, and this is the thing, if I'm wrong, who cares, right? Like, nothing happens. But what if I'm right? So I think AI is going to change our world. It's already starting to, right? And I think that it's going to put some whole industries out of business. And I think that some of the smart people that used to run like law firms and shit, they used to be doctors or whatever, that are just totally replaced by AI, they're going to need something else to do. So what if they decide, oh, I'm going to go into barbering? you're going to be competing with some of the smartest people in the world if that's the case. And again, if I'm wrong, nothing happens. No, what if I'm right though? What if in 5 years you're competing with people that used to be attorneys? You're competing with people that went to school and that know business, right? Not like your uncle's cousin's grandpa over there that got his barber school license 20 years ago and doesn't even know how to use the internet. You're competing with the smartest people in the world in probably within our lifetime, right? So I think that if you as a barbershop owner are not learning how to utilize technology, AI being included, oh, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time in a few years. And it could just be something as simple as a chatbot on your website. It could be customer service related. Like sometimes, like we're probably going to have a system in the near future where that answers our phones so that people don't have to call us and the barber doesn't have to stop in the middle of a haircut. We already had this stuff. You know, we've been testing. It's kind of glitchy right now. We had a system where people could text us and the bot would respond and they could interact like if it was a person, and it would book their appointment through the text message without even having to talk to a person. Stuff like that's already here. You know, it's like, so if you're not thinking about how to integrate these tools in your shop, good luck, man. Because I'm integrating this stuff right now, and this stuff is just getting started, right? I don't know what you're talking about, Avery. Potential pushback. You know, well, I'll just say this: barbers in general, I don't know why, are very just hesitant to invest in themselves. Period. They would rather go buy clippers than get a course on something that's going to make them thousands more dollars. So I don't know if that helps you, but you got to figure out, do it for free. I don't know, just do it for free and prove it works. You know, testimonials, just like trying to get clients, how testimonials can be really powerful. Get like 10 barbershop owners that said this made me 10 grand more a month, and you won't have such a hard time selling your AI thing, right? But it's going to be kind of hard because barbers are humans and we're just naturally skeptical people. And I think that's one of the good things, like I was saying earlier about our industry right now, is that there's a lot of people out there selling education. You just got to be careful about who you listen to. And just like with real estate, in a few years, I think that a lot of these barbers are going to get burned because they bought some course one time from some guy and it didn't do anything for them, or more likely they didn't do the work that was required. And then they're just like, oh, this education thing doesn't work anymore. It's like either you got the education from the wrong guy or you didn't do the work. But education works. Is elementary school a scam? No. But if you fail, it's because you didn't do the homework, right? So that's kind of the only thing I'm afraid of. I love that all this education that's coming out from the barbers in our industry, from people that the names have you heard of. You know, I have stuff too. I have courses and everything. I do coaching and consulting, but man, I'm afraid for the barbers out there that are going to get burned because they're going to get sold on this idea that you can make so much more money and do less work. And I just haven't seen that play out in real life. And again, it's like my goal is to build multiple location business, you know, an empire basically. And so I'm not going to listen to a lot of those guys out there that are saying you can do a haircut for $100 and then take the rest of the day off. That doesn't help me at all. You know, that is, would I want my barbers doing that? No, we need to get to 10 plus locations. That doesn't make sense for me. Right. So, but if that's your goal and you only want to do one haircut a day, then go ahead and listen to those guys. But if you're trying to build a barbershop and you want to grow that barbershop to 7 figures plus, that's what I do. You can talk to me, right? All right. So, any other questions? Any last minute questions? I got 1 minute left. Any last minute questions? This is a free Q&A that I'm doing as my Christmas gift to my free barber group, the Barber Mastermind. Good. I'm glad that helped, Avery. Um, I don't know if we'll do this one again. This was fun for me though. I like interacting with you guys. I can't, my full-time job is running a barbershop. I can't do this every day. But if you guys want to do more stuff like this, I do stuff like this in my paid group, the Barbershop Owner Mastermind. It's not free, but hey, the best stuff isn't free, right? So if you want some more information on that, hit me up. Called the Barbershop Owner Mastermind. It's on a platform called School. You can work with me. You can do Q&A calls like this every single week. Plus, you have all the courses and stuff that I'm building that'll help you grow your barbershop to 7 figures and beyond. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. Let me know if you want to do more like it. I don't mind. We'll just gotta plan it out, right? So hope you have a great Christmas, and I'll see you in the next one.